month of just thinking and really thinking about thinking, taking a lot of walks, just thinking some more, and being really frustrated. But also just being like, okay, cool. How do I do this? The next month, which was like November,
Mm.
in November, maybe also like parts of December, I started I started revisiting certain certain things. So I keep a journal every year, and when I in 2019, yeah, the beginning of 2019, I had written a few things in like January about like if I were ever to make a sculpture, I would do this, and like that was really like me dreaming big. I was like, oh, I'll do this. And so then I started going back to things that I wanted to do and just to see like, if those things weren't applicable for the time that I was in then. So then I started going back, reading all my journals, and I found that like so many of my the things that ended up being the final product, if one would say, um, where I started taking all those old notes and trying to what I've been working on, and at the same time, an interesting situation because I'd never had a studio before, and so in real life, I felt like an artist. I walked in and I was like, oh my god, I am an artist, darling. And that was amazing. I can't lie, that was great. I was like, oh shit, I am an artist. It was very like the
Self-affirming.
13-year-old me clapping, being like, what is this? You know, it was very cute. So I was saying that the minute I walked into the studio, I knew that I had to set the intentions for the studio, all my intentions in that space. And I just remembered, things that my mother had taught me about when you enter a new place that you are gonna like be in for a while. You need to just pray and you need to just like really kind of introduce yourself into the space. And so I remember the first day I went from the door and I lit in Airport and I just was everywhere, just basically like welcoming myself into the space and also just being like, yo, I'm here, I'm about to do some, cute, not cute, dope shit. I don't know. But I'm just here, And I did that whole process and I remember I was like, okay, cool, let me film this. And I did like a Buto session of sorts, which I mean, which came full circle because at the exhibition night I did a Brutal procession as well. So it was like a very cute closing of chapter. But anyway, that is me moving too fast into the future. So yeah, I walked into the space and the space was just like big and something that I'd never had before. And that was really exciting. And I think being in the space helped my energy and my concentration, like, because I then became tunnel vision. Then I knew in that space I work, in that space, it was very good to focus. It was very good for, I know when I'm in this space, I'm thinking about this thing. I know on my way to the space, I'm preparing myself to enter into the space so that I can make the parts to be done. It was it was a very important thing to me. And also because when I leave this space and I leave this space and I go home and I'm my sister's sister and I'm my brother's brother and we chill and I'm not, I'm not as frustrated because I don't take that thing at home. I don't take all my mental things at home. I leave them there. I go home, I chill, I relax. And the next day I wake up and I do the same thing. It was very important for me. It was very important to me. And during that time, I was also starting to plan for making of the sculpture. and and one of the things that happened was that I thought, you see, with the sculpture, because I'd never done it ever in my life, I knew I needed people. So then that situation about who to approach, how to approach them, what will I give them, what will they get, because at the end of the day, this won't open as solo exhibition and friends. It will be you and Nanamakova solo.
Yes.
And so I then went into the conversation about collaborating with people, the conversation about, how to ask what engagements must happen before, people come and assist and help you with your thing, and what does that all look like, you know? And I really, and that was the same conversation that I was also thinking with the imagery, because even at this, as much as I would have loved to be the one who actually captures my images, I wasn't. Other people came. I had assistants. I had people who took the image. I had people who were pressing the smoke machine. I had people who were holding my garments. I had makeup. I had all of these different things, and and I mean, these were my friends and my family, but I also understood that at the end of the day, it would be my thing and not our thing. And so in that space of being in the studio, I started thinking about that, and I started thinking about how to approach people, what would be the engagement. And it was a really tough one. I mean, I remember once I was trying to take images of myself, and they just look like selfies. Like, some of them just look like selfies, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I freaked out, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" Like, I remember I was just on the floor crying because I was like, "It's not gonna work. This is not gonna work out." And it was funny because I knew I had to approach people, but I just didn't want to, because I thought it was unfair. I thought, this is not fair. Like, if people are gonna, because also, just like side note, like I normally work in the fashion industry, and there's, credits are important. Everyone must, everyone's input must be, seen and appreciated and all of that. And I fought for that, and I fight for it still, right? And so when now I was the one who was going to ask people's kids to do something for me, only for it to be me, I was like, what? Is this fair? I don't think it's fair. And I was just like trying to grapple with, how do people do it, and how have people done it in the past, and how do people do it now. I was lost in thinking about that.
Mm.
But I think as time went by, I asked people, I spoke to people, and I just really was very open about the fact that, hey, I'm working on my exhibition, and firstly, the girlie has no cash money to pay you. Would you be down to assist? And funny enough, and I mean, I'm very grateful for this. That so many people who are brilliant, who in their own right are amazing artists, just agreed to help me out. And I was just like, oh my god, like, I never thought it would be this simple, because in my mind I was like overthinking everything, and they just wanted to help me.
Yeah.
So that was like a very beautiful moment for me. And then after that, it was just work, you know, because after I had assembled the team, it was now a thing of how, like, it was a thing of, now let's start production. Né? And I remember we started our production in December, and the first day was a tragedy. It was it wasn't the cutest thing that ever happened. We started with the sculpture, and I got hurt, and I got two relatively deep scars on the side of my body.
Sure.
Because I couldn't feel my body after a while because I was
Sure.
standing for like 3 hours, and we had to put the whole production on hold, and I had to take 2 weeks to recover.
Sure.
And that for me was stressful and painful, but also it taught me to just allow and that I had time. And so after the injury, I took some time, and then it was Christmas time, so people left. It wasn't, it was a very quiet time, which was good for me because then I could just rest.
Mm.
And then I think on the 24th of December, I we did a shoot with Jesse, amazing person, amazing photographer. We did a shoot just to like just to get ready, just to prep, just to feel the feels, just to be in the space and use the space for something. And then after that shoot, I knew I was ready. I knew I was ready because the sculpture was also on the way. If a lot of things were on the way, and it just felt like I could do it.
Mm.
Even though the sculpture took a month and a half to dry and to thicken and dry. It was. I mean, when I would go to the studio every single day just to put 2 layers of resin and go home. After a few days, I was starting to think that this might not work. But I was also just like, let's see, I'll
Mm.
stop applying. Literally, I kept on being like, Jason would come in, Gemma would come in, they're like, Janela, how are you feeling? And I'm like, it's okay, it's just fine, Nothing looks like anything, but it's okay, And I would just, and literally, I don't even know what made me so faithful that it was gonna work. And I think also because um, the friend who was working with me on the sculpture was so calm and
Mm.
so determined that it was going to work. And because he had done it before and he, studied sculpture and all of that, I was like, okay, I put all my faith in you. And if you have faith, I have faith. And
Yes.
that's amazing.
Mm.
And yeah, was just like, he would just come in and be like, oh, babe, you're fine. It's going to be okay. And I literally would be like, doesn't look fine, but alright. Yeah, you know. And I watched it like a baby, and I watched it. I watched that sculpture. I would sit. I put heaters on because I needed it to be warm. It needed to be warm for it to dry. I
Yeah.
would put heaters on, and I just hours just waiting. But it was like listen to music, and I think I remember one of the days that I was waiting for resin to dry. I started singing the song that I sang for the exhibition because I just, for me, I was looking at the sculpture and I was like, this is amazing, Even if it doesn't work out, this is so amazing. I can't believe I'm doing this. Like, there were so many moments for me where I was just in, like, disbelief at what I was doing because I was like, babes, you're not qualified to do this. In my mind, there's that like some some judgmental Kelly that's chilling, being like, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? Like,
Yeah. Like,
who do
excuse me,
you think
ma'am,
you
get back
are?
in your
Like, you
lane.
didn't study for this.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
get in your lane, sweetie. Like, go do what you studied. You didn't study for this.
Mm.
And so that judgmental Judy would come in, but then it would be matched with this like grateful, in awe Yonella who is staring at things come to life. And
Yeah.
I just I could not shake how amazing that was for me
Yes.
because I was like, what? What? So you can just do things because you like them. That's incredible, you know.
Yeah, but
And so that song came, and Yeah, it was a hymn from I don't know which church, but it was just a hymn we used to sing when we were younger, and it was so timely, and it captured my feeling, and it captured what was happening during the time. So yeah, like just right after thinking and thinking, I started planning, and then planning, with an actual team, and planning the different things. And I went straight into it because, I mean, when December hit, I knew I had no more time also. So,
Yeah.
I just started running, but it was good. It was good. It was good.